Hello. Today we are going to talk about universal Turing machine. But first, a Turing machine. A Turing machine, they execute only one program at a time, hence they are called hardwired. But real computers are supposed to be reprogrammable, hence universal Turing machine. They can be used for reprogrammable machines, plus they simulates any other Turing machine. A universal Turing machine is denoted by a capital M, as you can see over here. Universal Turing machine has three types of tapes. Tape 1, description of Turing machine. Tape 2, tape contents of Turing machine. Tape 3, state of universal Turing machine. Tape 1, description of universal Turing machine. Here symbols are encoded as strings. For example, alphabet encoding, A is encoded as 1, B encoded as 1 1, C encoded as 1 1 1, and so on. Moving on to state encoding. Q1, Q2, Q3 serve as states. Q1 can be encoded as 1, Q2 encoded as 1 1, Q3 1 1 1, and so on. Moving on, head move encoding. Here L represents left, which is encoded as 1. R represents right, which is encoded as 1 1. Here is a transition where Q1, that is state 1, is encoded as 1. The comma is a separator encoded as 0. A encoded as 1. The equal to sign, a separator encoded again as 0. Q2, state 2 encoded as 1 1. The comma, a separator encoded as 0. B encoded as 1 1, comma 0, and L encoded as 1. So here you see two types of Turing machines, and both of them are being encoded. Here the 0 0 separator is the space between them. Hence the universal Turing machines encode these transitions in binary format like this. And here it is given that a Turing machine is described with a binary string of zeros and 1, which we just talked. Therefore, the set of Turing machines forms a language, and each string of this language is the binary encoding of a Turing machine. The language of the universal Turing machine can have many Turing machines. For example, here a Turing machine 1 is given with 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 0 1. A Turing machine 2 here is given with 0 0 1 0 0 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 1 1. Coming next to an enumerator. An enumerator is denoted by a capital symbol S. It is sort of a Turing machine which generates all the strings one by one and in a finite period of time. Here you see an enumerator machine, capital symbol S. Here the strings S1, S2, S3 all belongs to S. These S1 is here we get an output as S1 in a finite period of time T1, S2 in finite period of time T2, S3 in finite period of time T3, and so on. The enumerator machine, here at time 0 at Q0 there is no state active. At time T1 the state changes to X1 and prints S1. At time T2 the state changes to X2, prints S2. At T3 the state changes from X2 to X3 and prints S3. So here the observation is that as there is an enumerator, then the set is countable. For example, if we take S as A, B, C in a positive enclosure, it is countable. A part of an enumerator is a naive enumerator. Here, the strings are represented in lexicographic order. For example, that means one string is represented, one alphabet, S1 equals to A, S2 equals to AA, S3 can be AAA, and so on. But it doesn't work on this way because other alphabets cannot be printed in this order. So a proper canonical order is used which prints all strings of length 1 first, then the strings of length 2, then the strings of length 3, and so on. Here is a proper example for all the strings of length 1 being produced first. S equals to A, S2 equals to B, S3 equals to C. For length 2 comes AA, AB, AC, BA, BB, BC, CA, and so on. And for length 3 comes later on with AAA, AAB, AAC, or CAA. Thank you.
Hello. Now I would like to continue from the theorems of universal Turing machine. Now let us look at the first theorem. The theorem states that the set of all Turing machines is countable. Now how should we prove that? As we know that Turing machines can be encoded with a binary string of either zeros or ones. So we have to design such an enumeration procedure which will accept the strings into the Turing machine. So the enumeration procedures, as we have read earlier, it can either be in lexicographic order or in canonical order. So let's see what we have chosen. So the steps are generate the next binary string of zeros and ones in proper order. It can be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, any order. And then step 2, check if the strings describes a Turing machine. If it describes a Turing machine, then print it as an output, otherwise ignore the string. Next, here we have chosen the canonical order of the binary strings 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, and so on. When we reach the strings 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, we notice that this is the language accepted by the Turing machine. So we give it as an output S1. Similarly, we move on with such combinations and we reach to a value 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and so on. And this value is also countable and accepted by the Turing machine. So we send it as an output. Now we notice that both all the values S1, S2, S3 are easily countable and accepted by the Turing machine. So hence it proves the theorem. Now the next theorem, it talks about that there is a language L dash which is not accepted by the Turing machine. So the difference between the previous theorem and this theorem is that the previous theorem had Turing machines which were countable. Now here in this theorem we are talking about a language which are uncountable. Because there are many languages in one Turing machine. Next, the definition states that if S is an infinite countable set, then the parse set 2 raised to power S of S is uncountable. So the concept to prove this theorem is that since S has strings S1, S2, S3 which are countable, so we need to define a parse set 2 raised to power S which is uncountable. So as I said before, S contains S1, S2, S3. Parse set contains phi S1, S3 which is 2 raised to power 1, 2 elements. Next 2 raised to power 2, 4 elements, S5, S7, S9, S10, and so on. Now the parse set elements can be encoded into the binary form as we learnt earlier. Now S1 can be written as 1 under S1 and rest all 0. S2, S3, 1 under S2 and S3, 1 under S3, and so on. Now we get the binary encoded form. We observe this form 1 0 0 0 0 1 0 0 as S1, separators 1 S4, S5, S6. All the values obtained are already present in 2 raised to power S. And to prove the contradiction that the parse set 2 raised to power S is countable, let us assume that it is a countable set. So we can enumerate the elements. If it is countable, it can be enumerated as T1, T2, T3, which are some random variables. Now the enumerated values can be written as in the binary encoding 1 0 0 0, T2 as 1 1 0 0 0, and so on. Now we see that the complement of the diagonal, which is 0 0 1 1, is also present in the parse set 2 raised to power S, 0 separators, T3, S3 as 1, S4 as 1. Now S3 and S4 are already present in 2 raised to power S. As we proceed, we notice that all the elements obtained in the set T belong to the power set 2 raised to power S. So the set T is present in 2 raised to power S, which is not countable, whereas the ith bit of Ti is not equal to T. So this is a contradiction, and hence 2 raised to power S is an uncountable set. Hence there exists a language L dash which is uncountable. So this is the proof, and apart from the two theorems we have some applications. Now let us consider some alphabet A, which contains A and B. The set of all strings S equal to A, B closure contains lambda A, B, A, B in canonical order. So we observe that all of them are infinite and they are countable, and hence we can enumerate the strings in the proper order. All these things that are countable can be enumerated. So as we proceed, any language, any set of alphabets obtained from the set S is a subset of S. So S equal to A star equal to A B star again is an infinite and countable set. The set 2 raised to power S contains all the values contained in the set S. So we observe that the set S is a subset of 2 raised to power S. So we can prove that S is countable, whereas 2 raised to power S is uncountable as it contains many number of languages. This same thing has been proved with an example. Turing machines M1 contain the languages L1, M2 contains L2, M3, L3. All these are countable. Now this can be denoted by set X, L1, L2, L3, so on, but X is a proper subset of 2 raised to power S. So 2 raised to power S is not equal to X, as X is countable, 2 raised to power S is not countable. So the conclusion is that there is a language L dash not accepted by any Turing machine. So language L dash cannot be described by any algorithm. Now here you can see a normal Venn diagram. The larger area contains non-Turing acceptable languages, which is 2 raised to power S, and the smaller area contains Turing acceptable languages, which is the set X. So this makes the concept clear. Now X is equal to L1, L2, L3 is a multi-set, elements may be repeated. For example, L1 may have some values already present in L2. So if we remove the repeated elements, the resulting set is again countable, and every element still corresponds to a positive integer. So till now what we have learned in the whole PPT of universal Turing machines is that Turing machines are programmable only once, so we use universal Turing machines which are reprogrammable. Later we have learnt about encoding the language into and transitions into binary format. Next we have talked about enumerator, which is a Turing machine which accepts all the strings present in the Turing machine. Then later on we have discussed about types of enumerator and theorems on universal Turing machine, and finally applications. So this was all about it, and I hope you understand all the concepts. And this was an assignment by Adhiraj Singh Jhala and Anandita Ahuja in able guidance of Professor Rajkumar S. For the subject Theory of Computation. Thank you.